Coastal Carolina Fair has been canceled due to the coronavirus. Today, I talked with Glenn McConnell of the Coastal Carolina Fair for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Glenn McConnell, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be back with you.
Oh, I appreciate it greatly. Obviously, you are the president of the Coastal Carolina Fair.
That is correct. After I retired, this is volunteer work I do out here with the Coastal Carolina Fair. Most people don't know that the Coastal Carolina Fair is really just a big charity. It's a nonprofit fair, one of the largest volunteer fairs in America. Over 240 volunteers put on this fair, and it's put on for the benefit of the community because the Exchange Club of Charleston gives the money back to the community in different charities. And so we're really lucky that our fair is this type of community gym and that it helps uplift the community while it also uplifts everybody's spirits because they come out here, they enjoy one of the largest mobile midways in America, the big midway of food and games and exhibits and animals and you name it, it's out here at the Coastal Carolina Fair.
And, you know, we talked over the phone last week, and you basically said, hey, the Coastal Carolina Fair looked everywhere they could to still find an enjoyable fair, but could not present an enjoyable fair that is safe. Obviously, the Coastal Carolina Fair has been obviously canceled for this year because of the coronavirus, and you told me that the fair couldn't give an edge that the public generally expects. What is that edge?
Well, the edge is the enjoyable experience. If you had to wait in lines and they're spaced and they're unclear and you got to wait while a ride is washed down and dried, if you got to, you can't go up and get condiments at a food counter. If bathrooms, you got to stand in line and you can't allow but so many people in the bathroom at one time. The exhibit buildings, we only can allow so many in. Part of the enjoyment of the fair is all of the people and the excitement and the rides and the smell of the food and the screams coming off of those rides and everything. They together create that festive environment of the fair. And we didn't think that from a convenience standpoint, an enjoyability standpoint, and also from a health standpoint, that we could communicate that in an experience. We felt like that the experience wouldn't be there. You would have to, social distancing on the midway, if you had less rides, you have longer lines and longer waits. Who wants to pay that money and then just stand in line and long waits? So when we looked at it all, and we considered, we were prepared to spend money to make the fair safer. But when all was said and done, the experience wasn't there. And if we can't provide an enjoyable experience and in a safe environment, then we felt like we should not have a fair. Our brand is all fun. It shouldn't be all frustration.
How frustrated were you to actually cancel this particular fair? Where are you still emotionally?
Well, we're trying to turn our attention now to 2021. It is a big disappointment for our volunteers. They enjoy coming out here and working. And so they're sorry. We've had customers that come out here. The fair is, probably the biggest coastal celebration I can think of in the fall that occurs here. And so there's a degree of disappointment. But what we're trying to do is to turn that into the excitement of anticipation of the 2021 fair. We're looking at, for instance, how do we expand the midway? How do we bring new and more exciting stuff here to the fairgrounds?
Wow, amazing, amazing. Now, obviously you talk about, when we talked on the phone last week, you said, hey, the Coastal Carolina Fair is one of the biggest fall events in the South. How do you describe the Coastal Carolina Fair now?
Well, the Coastal Carolina Fair is it's one of the larger fairs in the country. It's in the top 100 fairs by the International Association of Fair and Expositions. It's not down there in the top 50, but in terms of a volunteer fair, it's real big. People need to understand a fair is supposed to be exposition of things that are done in the community that are great, from agriculture to business to the creative arts. We have everything here from miniatures to the young children doing paintings. We have competition in that, competition in fiddling, all sorts of different things. So we're a showcase of the community. And that's where this fair is so great, because this fair is owned, these fairgrounds are owned by the corporation, which is the fair. And as a result, we have a Midway where most of the wiring and stuff is down underground and laid in. We have room for about 14,000 cars to park out here on these fairgrounds. And then we're well lit with LED lighting and things like that. So then we have Amusements of America, one of the largest mobile midways in the country. And we're here, we're pretty much their final big stop of the season. And that may be one of the reasons we get such a big midway, is they're on their way to winter quarters. They do something out of the country, but by and large, the units, that's pretty much the end of the year. A lot of fairs are in the summer. We, of course, are in the fall.
In the fall. And, you talk about, obviously, the Coastal Carolina Fair being the largest mobile midways in America. Let me ask you this, Mr. McConnell. What is the state of midways right now, as you know it?
That is a great question. Most of the fair midways companies, and they're amusement companies, the big, large ones, there are no fairs going on. They're canceling left and right because they're running into the same thing we're running into. The problem of delivering a great experience. So a lot of them are sitting still in winter quarters. They have nowhere to go. I guess it will depend on who survives in all of this. I don't know what the debt structures are and things like that, but it's sad for them because their workers are not with them. They don't have jobs. They don't have places to go. If they have any event, it's very small. It's not like what would occur out here. It's like a traveling city when that thing moves in. It takes 3-4 days to watch them set up that big city that lights up. Everybody says, the season of the light is Christmas, but season of the light actually starts right here on the fairgrounds with this big carnival, because they've gone to LED lighting, and it is a dazzling show. But the sad part is what's going to happen in the amusement area. What changes are we going to see over the next 12 months as the shakeout occurs as a result of there being no fairs? This has to be a very rough time for them.
What financial changes do you hope you'll see in the next 12 months?
Well, for us, the financial change for us is we've got to survive the fair, and we will. We can pay our bills, and we can get back to 2021. So for us, the challenge is, without having income for a year and wanting to make improvements here, how do we do that? Where do we look for donations? We will be calling on our volunteers to do a lot of work that we might have had to pay for. We'll get volunteers to help us do, so that we convert ourselves into being able to move capital into new stuff. The sad part for us, though, is that the fair is not going to have those hundreds of thousands of dollars to give to charity. And that's is a concern for us. So we're hoping that the Exchange Club of Charleston can, through its foundation, can help those charities while we move ourselves toward the 2021 fair. The Coastal Carolina Fair needs to come back bigger and more exciting than ever. And we're already talking about new things that we can bring here and new ways of doing it. I mean, the big midway we have of food alone is a big attraction. People love to come out here and eat. If you can think of it fried, it's existing on these grounds.
Yes, indeed. And you talk about, obviously, earlier expanding that midway. What else do you want to expand next year?
Well, we would like to, beside the midway, what we would like to do is to have more what I call casual areas where people can sit, eat the food that they're picking up, watch the rides, have what I call rest zones, so to speak, out here. So it's more like a park than just the Midway. And you're crammed in, more room to spread out and see. That would be a real big thing for us to be able to do. We're moving our creative arts back to the new building. They never got there because we put the commercial arts down there for the last 2 years. But the exhibits that deal with food have a lot of attraction. And so the culinary arts with the young students that come out here and compete and things, we can put more emphasis on those culinary arts and put them back in the new building where we've built a state-of-the-art catering kitchen. So they can deal in what's called a combi, which is a machine that can steam, it can power fry, it can bake, it can broil. It actually can even smoke meat with an attachment made to it. So we'll look to probably develop those things more, expand. Our agricultural exhibits have been very popular, and we're talking with one of the school districts now about their agricultural program being more involved in putting the animals that they take care of out here on the fairgrounds for the exhibit. The other group that we do some work with are rescue type groups. For instance, that rescue horses that have been maltreated and that have been starved or whatever. And by having them exhibit them out here and find homes, we perform a twofold thing. We help them financially, and we also give them a place to connect with homes for abused animals. So it for us is a win all the way around. Those are the sorts of things we'll be looking for. We're looking for new food, items that haven't been here before. And we'll also be looking at new entertainment. We bring entertainment in. We bring national entertainment in here. So we'll be looking at what are the new acts that we want to bring in here. We'll also be looking at our hours of operation. Is there, some folks think we should open earlier during the week. That's something we'll have to take a look at. There's been no decision made on that, but we are going to take a look at that. And a lot of people say they want to come out here for lunch because they got this massive amount of food out here, and it's they want to get out here. So we're going to start looking at things like that, see if that's possible, because the fair is an 11-day big event. That big city that I've told you about of amusements and food and everything is here. Let's make the most of it, because the more people come out here, the more things that can happen for our community with where the fair can help. Money that is raised out here goes from everything from Meals on Wheels to food bank to scholarships, you name it. It's an array.
And you talked earlier about capital for new stuff. Where's the capital for the Coastal Carolina Fair?
The capital of if our capital comes off money that we make. We keep enough to pay for the grounds, to maintain the grounds, repair them, and make improvements if they needed. The rest of the money comes from the fair. It also comes from seasonal rentals. After the fair leaves, we have these big exhibit buildings that are sitting here. Our new building has two big halls. One can seat over 1,000 people for dinner. The other one can seat about 500 people for dinner. One of them is equipped with state-of-the-art AV. Then we've got a 30,000 square foot hall that can take another big event. So trade shows come in here. Christmas in the South comes in here. Co-ops meet out here. So part of our capital comes from also renting the grounds. And then because we got to maintain these grounds, and they're expensive to maintain.
Yes, sir. And you talked about earlier about those rest zones, if you will. If you were to create that, how many of those parking spaces would you like to eliminate to have that?
Probably won't have to eliminate any parking spaces for the reason that we own some acreage that we haven't cleared off. And so if we took some parking, we would simply create some parking.
Okay.
And so For us, the big thing I think would be to take the RV park that we have next to the Midway and move it away from the Midway and convert that RV park area into an expanded Midway and rest zone. The key is, for instance, if you were back there in where the rides are, the food court ought to have plenty of seating. And it ought to be where you can watch your family on the rides. They can come to you. You can take the time to enjoy the sights, the sound, and the smells. That's the great thing about the fair is it just activates all of your senses. And I love to look at the rides. And I mean, a lot of those rides I'm not getting on, but I like to watch the people ride.
That's
See,
good.
we had one this past year, Quintin, that I watched people just stand and look at it. It was called the Speed.
Ooh.
And the Speed could I think in 1 minute could make 11 revolutions. It was the Speed. And anyway, it would exert about 3 G's of force, and the basket would spin and turn over as you went around that big wand.
Hi.
If you get interested, let me know.
I'm afraid of heights and all that stuff.
Yeah, and we're talking about, you were asking about new stuff. We're talking about creating an extreme zone. We tried this year. We had a couple of things for young people, and then we had a major ride, the Speed. We're talking about doing an extreme zone bigger next time with probably 5 major rides. When I talk about 5 major rides, we already have major rides, but these are the types of rides like Speed that you stop and take a look at and say, hey, is that really what I want to get on? So what that would be, I mean, like I said, people would look at Speed and they would ponder, and then they would wonder, who can own that thing, But there's a lot of people love those rides.
Oh, they do indeed. And earlier you talked about obviously showcasing the arts and culture for the fair. What art and culture displays the fair the best?
Well, let me start. I'll go over in the agricultural exhibit building, for instance. We have Basket Weaver over there who is selling stuff, got artwork that's associated with it that people are able to see and learn about how that's done. Then you've got beekeepers, how they grow honey, how a honeycomb operates. You get a chance to see that. Then you get to see different mediums of painting and photography and black and white and color, the different things and how they judge those. You see the ribbons, who won.
Right.
Then we have a flower show. We have a tabletop show. Then you can look at the little hand-painted miniatures and collections and things like that. Quilt making, there are ladies there that make quilts, and they explain how quilts are made, all different sorts of things like that. There's a lady there that cooks cookies. They're real good cookies. So what you see in the arts and crafts is all sorts of things. We've talked also about how do we develop that further, because we should showcase the community. And if we're not showcasing something that's out there, how do we get it here? And that's probably where the future growth, when I look at a fair, that's where future growth is. It's an opportunity to just showcase the sorts of arts and crafts and things that have grown up here. Whether it's, we have one lady that does jellies and jams and pickles and stuff. Great stuff. She's got one, I think she calls it cowboy mix, and boy, that thing's hot as fire,
I bet. Whew. And obviously you talk about the Coastal Carolina Fair being a charity. How much money did you all give away last year?
We gave to the Exchange Club for public service around $350,000 from the previous fair.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. In the last 15 or so years, we've given out over $11 million to the community. It's a tremendous amount. So the more successful the fair is, the more good things that the fair is able to do. It was created to showcase the community and give back to the community. And that's the only reason myself and all of the other volunteers We do this because the Coastal Carolina Fair is community service, and we should all try to give back and to help make things better. And that's what the fair is about. And that's why we say it's all fun out here at the Coastal Carolina Fair.
And you talk about that fun. Which one of those rides describes you?
One of those rides, well, I can tell you the speed does not. Somebody wanted to try to get me to go on that thing, and they said, well, I'll give $100. I said, well, then you're not giving $100 because I'm not getting on that ride. But years ago when I was younger and I used to ride it, the Bullet was always my favorite. And the Bullet is no more. And I used to like to round up. But no, I don't ride those rides. I watch them though. I'm fascinated about watching people get on that speed because that thing, I don't know how you stand up after you have been spun around like that.
Right. That's amazing.
The rides give fun, they give thrills, and that's what it's about.
Yes.
And the people come out here and enjoy themselves. This past year, we created a beer garden. First time we've done something like this, but it was craft beer. Again, you talk about showcasing the community. We were interested in craft beers, getting some from the community in here. And so it's not a place where you can go and get drunk because you only can buy two and there's a system to it. But it's an opportunity to take something very unique that you might go back to in the community. And so the craft beer is supported by the beer garden. It's a place where you can have a nice sandwich, and again, we just try to make it all fun and safe. Like our rides, we do a triple inspection to try to make sure that there's nothing wrong there. And the Amusements of America, we've been having that particular amusement company since 1958. That's a long time.
Yes.
The Vibona family, the Amusements of America. A lot of carnivals, they'll change different places and stuff. But we've consistently had, they just seem, everything I can see, they try to do the best job that they can with what they got.
Absolutely. Well, Lieutenant Governor Glenn McConnell, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Well, thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and I wish you much success. You do a great job.
Oh, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.
My pleasure, sir.
Thank you.